That air freshener sitting in your home right now is not harmless. It's not cleaning the air. And it's definitely not making your home healthier. Every day, millions of Australians spray these products into enclosed spaces, bathrooms, bedrooms, cars, trusting that fresh means safe. But that trust is misplaced. Because air fresheners don't remove bad air. They add chemicals to it. Invisible ones you can't see, but you breathe in anyway. And the industry relies on one simple trick. If it smells clean, you won't question what you're inhaling. You're not using these products occasionally. You're using them repeatedly, indoors, in the place where your lungs are exposed the most. And while the packaging talks about freshness and comfort, it stays silent about what's actually being released into your air. Once you understand what these sprays really do, you'll realize your home hasn't been smelling fresh at all. It's been chemically altered. Brand number 1, Airwick. Airwick is one of the most common air fresheners in Australian homes, and that familiarity is exactly what makes it risky. It's sprayed in bathrooms, living rooms, and bedrooms without hesitation, because it smells clean. And smell has become the shortcut people use to judge safety. But Airwick doesn't clean the air. It perfumes it. The moment you spray, you're releasing a cloud of fragrance chemicals designed to linger indoors. Those chemicals don't disappear. They hang in the air you breathe, especially in enclosed spaces where ventilation is limited. Here's the problem most people never consider. When you spray Airwick, you're not neutralizing odors. You're adding volatile compounds to already trapped indoor air. That fresh scent is a signal of chemical presence, not cleanliness. And because it smells pleasant, people use it repeatedly, sometimes multiple times a day. Children, pets, and anyone spending long hours indoors are exposed the most. You can't see it. You can't feel it immediately. But it's there every time you inhale. Brand number 2, Glade. Glade is one of the most aggressively fragrant air fresheners on Australian shelves, and it's designed that way on purpose. Stronger scent, longer linger, more coverage. People associate that intensity with effectiveness, when in reality it signals higher chemical load in the air. Glade doesn't eliminate odors, it overwhelms them. Each spray releases a concentrated mix of fragrance compounds meant to dominate indoor air for hours. That's not freshness, that's saturation. And in enclosed spaces like bathrooms, bedrooms, and cars, those chemicals have nowhere to go except into your lungs. What makes Glade especially dangerous is repetition. Because the scent fades over time, people spray again and again, each time adding another layer of invisible pollutants into the same trapped air. The smell may feel comforting, but your body doesn't process fragrance. It absorbs exposure. Kids, pets, and anyone spending long periods indoors get the highest dose. There's no warning on the front of the can. Just promises of freshness and comfort. Brand number 3, Febreze. Febreze is one of the most misleading air fresheners on the market because it doesn't just promise freshness, it promises odor elimination. That claim lowers people's guard instantly. If something eliminates odors, it must be cleaning the air, right? That's the illusion. Febreze doesn't remove pollution from your air. It changes how your brain perceives smell. The spray releases fragrance chemicals that bind to odor molecules and mask them, while simultaneously adding new volatile compounds into the air you breathe. The air isn't cleaner, it's chemically altered. This is where the deception becomes dangerous. Because the smell disappears, people assume the problem is gone, so they spray it more often. On couches, curtains, carpets, cars, bedrooms. The exposure doesn't stop. It multiplies. And unlike a strong fragrance, Febreze feels subtle. That subtlety encourages repeated, indoor use without hesitation. You don't feel like you're spraying chemicals, but you are directly into enclosed spaces where ventilation is limited. Brand number 4, Oust. Oust is marketed as a serious solution, not a fragrance. The name, the language, and the branding all suggest something stronger, something that actually removes what's wrong with the air. That perception is exactly what makes it dangerous. Oust doesn't clean indoor air. It relies on chemical reactions to neutralize odor molecules while simultaneously releasing its own mix of volatile compounds into the space. The smell may disappear, but the air is still chemically altered. You're not removing pollution. You're replacing one set of compounds with another. What makes oust especially concerning is how confidently it's used. Because it's framed as effective and professional, people spray it more aggressively and in more places: bathrooms, bedrooms, cars, closed rooms with poor ventilation. The assumption is that stronger equals safer. It doesn't. Once sprayed, those chemicals linger in the same air you continue to breathe. There's no visible residue, no immediate warning, just the illusion that the problem has been solved. Brand number 5, Glen 20. Glen 20 is trusted because it's not sold as an air freshener. It's sold as a disinfectant. That label instantly creates a false sense of safety. If something kills germs, people assume it must be good for the air. That assumption is wrong. Glen 20 isn't designed to improve indoor air quality. It's designed to release strong chemical agents into enclosed spaces to suppress microbes and odors at the same time. When you spray it, you're not cleaning the air. You're filling it with volatile compounds meant to be aggressive enough to kill bacteria. And here's the problem. Those same chemicals don't just disappear after doing their job. They linger in the air you breathe, especially in rooms with poor ventilation. Bathrooms, bedrooms, offices. The smell fades, but the exposure doesn't. Because it's framed as protective, people use Glen 20 more confidently and more frequently, often indoors, often around kids and pets. That confidence is exactly what turns a disinfectant into an inhalation risk. Brand number 6, Mortein Dual Use Danger. Mortein is one of the most misunderstood sprays used inside Australian homes because it was never meant to be part of everyday air care. It's an insecticide, a product designed to kill pests. Yet it's routinely sprayed indoors, around kitchens, bedrooms, and living spaces where people breathe for hours afterward. That's the danger. Mortein works by releasing chemicals potent enough to disrupt insect nervous systems. Those chemicals don't magically disappear just because you can't smell them anymore. When sprayed indoors, they linger in the same enclosed air your lungs are pulling in, especially in rooms with limited ventilation. What makes this worse is behavior. People don't treat Mortein with caution. It's sprayed quickly, casually, sometimes repeatedly. Windows stay closed. Rooms are re-entered minutes later. The assumption is that if it's sold in supermarkets, it must be safe. That assumption is reckless. Mortein isn't an air freshener. It's not an air cleaner. And it was never designed for routine inhalation exposure. Using it like one turns pest control into an unnecessary chemical burden inside the home. Brand number 7, Coles Home Brand Air Freshener. Brand number 8, Woolworths Home Brand Air Freshener, most deceptive. Woolworths Home Brand Air Fresheners feel harmless because they come from a trusted supermarket. That trust is exactly what lowers people's guard. When something sits next to groceries, cleaning products, and everyday essentials, it doesn't feel like a chemical risk. It feels routine. But this product exists to meet a price target, not an air quality standard. Like most private label sprays, it relies on generic fragrance formulas that prioritize scent strength and shelf life over transparency. What's actually being released into the air isn't clearly explained, and most shoppers never stop to check. What makes this brand especially deceptive is usage behavior. Because it's cheap and always available, it's sprayed casually and frequently. Bathrooms, kitchens, bedrooms, cars. The more you use it, the more those invisible compounds build up in enclosed indoor air. The scent fades. The exposure doesn't. There's also an assumption of oversight. People believe a major supermarket wouldn't sell something questionable. But legality doesn't equal safety, especially when it comes to repeated inhalation inside the home. By now, one thing should be clear.